Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. I know we all like Nintendo Game Boys, don't we? Look at my one. With that backlight and bivert mod, it's sweet. I'll tell you what though, there is another chap who likes Game Boys and handhelds, and that's Elliot over at the Retro Future. And this video is about something he sent to me, which is this cartridge of extreme dodginess. Yes, it's one of those 180 5-in-1. They come in various varieties, 10-in-1, 60-in-1, various amounts in one. Oh, by the way, this is my original copy of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening from when I were a wee nipper, probably just before university age. Anyway, it's cute, isn't it? The same one, same Game Boy. Right, so let's just go a bit deeper now. We're going to try plugging this thing in. I did have it apart in an unboxing video when I opened the box of stuff that Elliot sent me. It's kind of a little bit jank, but I think it'll go in. No Nintendo, no nothing. Whoa, do you see that? The backlight didn't even come on then. That's worrying. Try battery in it. Whoa! Can you hear that? The backlight's running, but the battery, the rumble is running, but there's no backlight. Whoa, it's like it's shorting out my Game Boy. I'm kind of worried. I'm going to just plug in the old original Zelda. Got our corruption on there, which is not good. Don't be dead. Yeah, so it's okay now. Phew. So let's start opening this up and having a look, see what we can do with it. I suspect it had crusts. Put it that way. When we looked at it last time, it had crusts. And not only had crusts, it also had a worryingly corroded edge connector. So I'm just going to get my multimeter as well, because I notice it does have a battery on it. So the first things first, we're going to pop out the old batterio. Is a standard CR2032. That's good. They're cheap enough in the old Poundland, aren't they, to get these things? 3.1 volts. That's not too bad actually. I don't know, Elliot, did you change that one? You might have. Let's have another look then at this. So apart from the very crusty looking PCBs, we've got some green gook all around in the usual place. There is a kind of a slightly mashed looking solder connection which we'll have a look at. Some transistors, the vibrator motor wires, but really it does look relatively healthy, so let's expect good things potentially from this. I'm wondering if the vibrator motor dies on it, or if the vibrator motor's buzzing on it but the battery's not there, if that's what's causing a weird short in the Game Boy circuitry, and that's what we are seeing. So I'm gonna rub it down first before we go to any wet treatments using some of these rubbing down pens. I'm just sort of looking, there was a third one. When you buy these, by the way, and these were sent to me by Power Crazy, they come in different flavours. They come with a steel brush, a brass brush, and a PCB, a fiberglass brush. So I'm going to rub that with the fiberglass, and I'm going to again zoom in so you can see. But they come in these pens, and you just twist that. Funnily enough, actually, if you've ever opened one up, they're actually kind of like a roll-on deodorant, basically. So let's get in there. I'm going to turn it at an angle, so hopefully my fingers won't be getting in the way. And you can see I'm going to brush the last few so you can see what the difference is. So you can see these ones are very shiny and these ones are very plain looking. And this would work really on any cartridge, but you've got to be a little bit careful with them. I think the fiberglass ones are pretty soft. Just be careful you don't touch it with the edge of the metal like I have there. There's like a bit of a score going on, but I'm going to wind it up a bit more. Oh no! Right, at least you get to see what's inside them now. Twisted it the wrong way, and that's the mechanism. As you twist, it's pushing that up and down. Get that back in there. It's popping out. This one doesn't want to comply. Maybe it's worn. It is worn. Oh my gosh. Time for new ones. Anyway, I'll continue with this steel one, but very gingerly. If this was on the main PCB though, I definitely wouldn't be using this one because of the dangers it possesses. Now looking at the edges here, you can see how they're really crusty on those circuits too. I'm kind of tempted to get a steel rule. I'm just gonna try with my knife here just to make sure that any loose dangling ends are removed. The idea being that that's sort of like preemptive really. It should just stop them crusting off a little bit more. So that's good. Right, we're in. We're really getting there now. We're going to put some PCB cleaner on the whole board. That's why I've got the whole area protected with this blue tissue. So just going to give that a bit of a drenching. And I'm going to get my little teeny brush. I don't know where you get these from. It's from CPC or something. And pop that on like that, so you can see through. And then just get the brush and like just do very small little dabbing motions. And what you're doing is you're using that PCB cleaner on there to lift the gunk on the board, and the brush is agitating that and getting it to sit into the top layer of paper. Because as you know, there's no point just spraying the board with that stuff. It just, you know, if you've got a board, for example, even a brand new board, and it's just covered in flux, you spray that on, it melts the flux, you push the flux around, and then you still end up with a really sticky board because you actually haven't lifted it anywhere. So you can see there they'll be starting to sort of discolour as it's lifting some of that stuff. And we did have a little bit on the back. Let's just address that one individually, but that's not too bad. Seems to have affected mainly the solder mask there. That's fine. Let's work on this side though. This battery terminal here is looking a bit dicey. I'm turning on the old soldering gear as well. I'm going to just touch this up. Got a lot of blue in there. It's still there. So I'm just going to fold that over. And while the soldering iron's heating up, I'm just going to get in there. Give it a damn good scrubbing. In fact, I'm going to brush it directly and then get that in there, lift that. Now there's all sorts of things you can use, of course, to try to remove corrosion from battery terminals. I think some of the most easiest things you can do, and just sort of most households will have, just be a bit of vinegar. You know, you can just wash that terminal down with a bit of vinegar, and you'll see the crustiness should lift. I think that's looking quite nice now. We can clean. I'm going to clean up that battery as well. And what we'll do is when I put the battery in, I'll check the terminals, make sure all of that's still, the power is where you'd expect. Just clean between these individual surface mount components. You want to make sure there's no dendrites or bits of gunk basically between them, little bits of metal or a little bit of solder. Get those off. So now that's looking ready to apply some solder. The iron's nice and hot, and we're just going to dab the tiniest amount of flux in there. There we go. And some people have been asking me about my flux. It's basically this. It just says soldering paste 30 grams, comes in a blue tub. So it doesn't say flux, it says soldering paste, but I'm pretty sure it's the same stuff. Just going to get in there. Oh, look at that, sizzling. My word. So I don't know if there was some attempted soldering here or something, but it's just not taken basically. I might even have to turn my soldering up to maximum. can hear this sizzling away. Yeah, that is nasty stuff going on there. In fact, it looks like there could have been a short there. Let's put some more flux. It looks like, let's get some big amount there. So if you've got a large area like this and you need to remove a big amount, get some solder braid going on in there. Sometimes it's worth just clearing off what you've got there or just to do some investigation before continuing, because the last thing we want to do is solder something that wasn't meant to be soldered and then create a short circuit, and then we'll spend a lot of time trying to fix that. It's looking good. And if you want your solder braid to be more effective, get some of the flux and just put it on the braid itself. You can buy braid pre-fluxed, of course. Whatever you can find, really. Come on. Right, so let's investigate this little area here. So where I'm concerned is there does seem to be a discontinuity between this pad and that pad. This does look like a ground here, yeah, and that's going to be the negative of the battery, but the fact that there's a seemingly tiny gap in the PCB is what worries me. So we're going to put this on continuity. And I am measuring continuity between those two things. I'm just going to scrape the board a tiny bit just to check this out. Here. If we still have continuity after this, ooh, we don't, then that. That's a very interesting thing there. We've got this transistor, which is this leg here, to here, but we think we don't have continuity between these 2 points. I kind of suspect there's a short there. So I guess the only thing I can do at the moment is just let me give it a wipe off that flux, and let's fit it in and see if it performs differently. That's where you got to be a bit cautious in your approach. It might well just be that that's how it's supposed to be. Get that cartridge out, we'll pop that in. I'm wondering if this is literally for the battery saves. I mean, that's pretty cool if it's actually got a real genuine battery save system, hasn't it? You don't really get that too often in these hooky cartridges. They tend not to put games that are complicated enough. Whoa! Okay. Okay, so there's a sort of a weird, looks like a curtain thing going on there. That's way further than we got before, so that's interesting, isn't it? Let's pop that in there. Let's even get a battery in case it needs some juice. Oh no, the dreaded corruption. I really have to sort out the connector, the cartridge slot on this thing. It's really unhappy. And it's not just unhappy with like this game, it's unhappy with all the games at the moment. It doesn't help in the old debugging, does it? Huh. Okay, got another horizontal line there. It's a good start though, isn't it? The fact though it sort of corrupts when I plug it in and out is a big worry. Now, just as a sanity check, what we can do is apply that one bit of solder to that part which I was pretty sure, I say pretty sure, looks suspiciously like it shouldn't be soldered. It's even hard to solder them. Okay, so pop that in. Yep, look. Kills the Game Boy stone dead. So the Game Boy definitely doesn't like that one. So we'll remove that. Now something I'm going to just do while I'm here, I was just going to apply a little bit more solder to that battery connector now that we've done our bit of debugging. There we go. And we're going to fit everything back together, I think. It's the only way to test it really. Fit it all back together and juggle it around a bit. Yeah. Come on now. There we go. What I'm wondering as well is if there's another machine in my collection that can play Nintendo, regular Nintendo cartridges. And it's not something I ever actually tried, but I do believe things like the old fat DS could. So I might resort to that if I have to. Oh look, it's got the Barbie game on it, Pokemon and a Mario game, so we really do want to get this going at all costs. Whoa! Okay, so it's doing the old rumbling. Rumbling again. Just the R of the Nintendo. That curtain thing. I've tried a few things off camera and I've come to the conclusion I think I want to just remove this vibrator motor because it kind of seems to boot and do all the things it wants to do, but as soon as this kicks in it's dying right now, so I think the best thing to do is just to knock this out just in case it's causing us mischief. Because as soon as that motor buzzes, the old backlight and everything goes dim, which makes me think that it's sucking out a lot of juice. Sega does what Nintendo don't. Damn it. Okay, it's been about an hour and I've been playing with this and I just had to show you this because it just freaked out and actually did something. Pokemon pin... Oh no, is it actually crashed? No. But look, I did get it this far and it's all down to the pins, I think, on the back because I tried to hot air level them with solder. But look, if I put my hands in here while I'm applying a bit of force while I try playing with it. I'm just trying different things of force now. I'm not sure what worked, you see. So I'm pushing straight down. So I'm forcing it into the Game Boy. Look. It's definitely doing something, isn't it? And if I push start, come on. Yes. Right, so I do think I have a solution now. At least some sort of brief solution. What I'm going to do is, because we know now these pins here are fragged, and you can see that I've done all manner of things to try to get them to work. Yeah, so I've soldered them and then hot air leveled them, but they're just obviously are still a bit crusty. What I'm going to do is just get this edge onto my sanding machine and just take a little nip off so the pins are effectively kind of longer, getting a bit further, and if necessary I'll sand the edge of the case down just so it all sits down a little bit more and we'll see what happens. Okay my friends, I have to tell you it has been many days later now. I have tried so many things to get this working, from adding solder and filing it down to using conductive paints like this on there. I've wiggled it, I've jiggled it, I've shoved it into a GBA, I have done absolutely all I can think of, and I have not yet managed to get it to work again. We saw it working that one time, and it seemed like it would just be a simple fix beyond that, but unfortunately not. And you can see me just jiggling and messing with this thing. My conclusion is that although I think it's the pads being pretty worn here, that maybe the reality is there is a fault elsewhere, that's just happens to be maybe under one of these blob chips. I'm pretty sure though, looking at this, that that's probably the memory, as in the SRAM, that is the game backup memory. I think that's what that would be. I think the games themselves are stored in here, and I think this could be like a fancy chip for maybe providing additional I/O to control the motor and maybe address the memory in different ways. Because sometimes, if you think about it, if you have the SRAM and all of that, you often need a glue chip, and I suspect that's what's under that blob. So I'm kind of a bit disappointed really, but I'm at that point where I really need to sort of move on with projects, and this is taking up back office desk space. I could try it one more time, come on. And I'll just show you what it does. In that case, you see, sometimes it's doing that, which looks like a dead short of the Game Boy unit, and other times it'll just bring up corruption. So I think I'm probably just going to assemble that back again and just put it into my little box. And what will happen is, I think at some point in the future I'm going to get a Duff cartridge, and I'm going to basically remove the ROM off that cartridge and then use some ribbon cable and solder these pin by pin. And then maybe we'll just sort of plug in the donor cartridge with a ribbon cable with this on the outside and see what happens, just to see the darn games on it. So that's where I've got with that, guys. So I'm saddened in that it wasn't like a spectacular conclusion, and I don't know, Elliot, if you're happy or not on whether or not I gave it justice. It made it worth sending to me. Hopefully so, but at least we saw a tiny bit of that, and then one day we're gonna get in there. I'm not too bothered about the vibrate. I just want to see the list of games on there, really. I think that would be just the most fascinating part, and ironically the part that I could have showed you when it was working. So let's see what we're going to do anyway in the future, guys, and as ever, thank you for watching, and please stand up and give a standing ovation to my Patreons who are coming right now.